as y'all probably know, this Saturday is UFC Vancouver featuring Rainier Ritter versus the retard Brendan Allen for a potential title shot. Now, do I want to see this fight? Not really, because we kind of got robbed of RDR Hernandez. But I guess this will have to do. But getting straight into the card is Tainara Lisboa versus Melissa Croden. Now, who the fuck is Melissa Croden? I don't know. She's making a UFC debut. But if she does have any kind of wrestling ability at all, I have noticed that Lisboa does tend to get held down in fights and generically just bullied. Now, being Canadian is the worst base for MMA, or at least one of the worst bases, because I have another pretty bad one that I'll get to later in the card. But I just I don't trust the Canadian. I don't trust Canada. That's just how it is. So I'm just gonna have to go by a typical women's MMA fight by Lisboa by decision. Next on the card, Azamat Bakoev versus Yusuri Belagori. Now, I'm conflicted. I I am a hardcore Glory Glazer, but this fight looks like a case versus the tall kickboxer versus the short and stocky, just walled with power that's just gonna chin him. And that feeling is just deep in my gut because watching Bakoev fights, he's able to shuck off the takedown and he has power, and he's able to separate against the fence and just flatline you. Now, the thing is, of course, he's fighting a kickboxer, and Bakoev has wrestling too. You can't forget he has an EV at the end of his name, and it's just installed in them. If they don't, they just get thrown off a cliff if they can't wrestle. That's just how it is. But I feel like sadly that either way, Bakoev's gonna be able to starch Belagori on the feet or just take him down and beat him up. But I hate Russians, so if Belagori does pull this off, I will be very happy. But that's that's just not reality. And moving on is another women's MMA fight, something we all hate to see. Stefani Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Not gonna lie to you, I don't know what's going on. Luciano has good takedown defense. That's about all I could see. And she's a shark. She actually has hands. It looks like her shots have some pop in them. And Oliveira kind of just gets held down. And I mean, I don't think, despite her last name being Oliveira and her being from Brazil, uh, I don't think she got this one, twin. I really don't. Charles might be on the comeback, but Ravina needs to get back in the fucking kitchen. Like, that's just how it is. Next, we have Kyle Prepolek versus the racist Drew Dober. Now, how is this fight gonna go? Kyle Prepolek's pretty shit. Okay, I feel like in general you have to be pretty shit in general. In general, just in general. Losing to Benoit Saint Denis makes you look like a fucking can. That's just how things are. You can't get around it. Drew Dober has vicious KO power. Kyle Prepolek might not be the shade that Drew Dober particularly likes to see across from the octagon, but you know he's from the U.S. He's got to have a little YN in him, and that YN just tends to activate Drew Dober in a way that just you know that's just that's just how it is. Prepolek's pretty shit. I don't have much to say about the fight. Drew Dober kind of just wades forward, and he has a lot of power. And if you lose to BSD, you're gonna get shit on by Drew Dober, and that's my non-professional opinion on how I feel about that. And next, now both of these fighters do have some pros and some cons. Mostly the cons outweigh the pros. Like we'll see, Danny Barlow will wait on you and try to walk you down, but this dumb motherfucker does not know how to keep his hands up. Now, but this will be a shit show because Jordan Santos might be a pressure fighter. Jesus Christ, I think I'm having some BJ Penn moment. But this guy's got pillow hands. This guy's the Max Holloway of the middleweight division, and this guy just is pillow hands Holloway. Nah, I'm kidding. I love Holloway, but you know how it is. That's how people thought of Holloway back before he chinned Gaethje. That's just how it is, man. And next, we got Bruno Silva versus Hyung Sung Park. Now, this fight, this fight's a pretty old tall tale, just written for the history books, just laid out. I think there's a certain way this fight is gonna go, and that is gonna be that being Korean is one of the worst fucking bases for MMA you can have, man. Like the exception that the exception that permeates the rule is the Korean Zombie. That's the only good fighters y'all have, man. Your boy Jusang Yu just got slept out cold trying to look like a superstar. And your boy on the Contender Series just got slept out cold too, man. You can't be doing that shit. You can't be trying to look cool. And Hyung Sung Park got Tatsuro Taira, and it was too much too soon. And Bruno Silva's crafty bad. He made it competitive with Josh Van until he got chinned. And Hyung Sung Park's not fucking Joshua Van, man. Joshua Van's currently the number one contender. Hyung Sung Park just got shit on by Taira, like I said. So, just... And I mean, look. This guy's name's Bruno Silva, and he's from Brazil. Do y'all really not think this guy does not have a ground game? Because he has a ground game. Wow! He's from Brazil. Nah. But that's just how it is. That's how it's gonna go. And funny enough, this guy got some hands too. He does have some pop in his shots. And Hyung Sung Park, he could wrestle, but you know, Koreans hit like babies. And I really don't have much more to say about that. Charles Jourdain versus Davy Grant. This fight breaks my heart because Charles Jourdain he's based on Instagram, but I don't think he has it. I really just don't think he has enough for old Davy Grant, man. I think Unk got it. He might not be a Unk. I don't know. I'm a little autistic. I really don't know. But Unk, he looks like a damn Unk. I don't know. It looks like his kids annoy him. But in general, man, Charles Jourdain is a pillow-fisted kickboxer that can't wrestle. He's based, but he's Canadian, man. Canadians suck. The exception to the rule is Jordan St. Pierre. Almost forgot his name. Jesus Christ, because Canadians just fucking suck so much. I don't know why the fuck we're trying to claim that as the 51st state. We don't want that shit. But that's just how it is. Now, Davy Grant. Davy Grant is one tough motherfucker, man. Now, Davy Grant. Davy Grant is just an all-around good fighter. He's got a good chin. He's well-rounded. He can grapple. And he's just going to wade at you. And he's just going to wade forward. And Charles Jourdain is not going to know what to do when he's wading forward and shooting takedowns. That's just... He's going to be... Get off me! And that's just how that's gonna go. And I'm gonna be staring at my TV maniacally because I just want to blow my fucking brains out. But that's just how it is. I like Charles Jourdain, but I don't think he's gonna get this one. I potentially have Davy Grant pulling off a submission here. And next, moving on to the main card, somehow started off by Kyle Nelson and Matt Frivola. When I originally did my research for this video, I forgot this fight. That That should tell you all you need to know about this fight. No, I'm kidding. Matt Favola is quite literally coming off of two back-to-back KO losses. That's not good for the chin, man. You can't be eating those shots. And Kyle Nelson does have a glimpse of KO power. He he does not have much, but considering that just Matt Favola's chin isn't there, and he's a very loose fighter, and his technique is not it's not tight, it's loose. So he's open to getting chinned. He's been chinned before. He's on a streak of getting chinned, and I think that streak of getting chinned is going to continue with Kyle Nelson. Because look at this man. He's bald with a beard. That that should tell you all you need to know. He's just the look of him's badass. You already know he's just gonna flatline you. That's just how it is, bruh. It's just how it is. And next is Cody Gibson against a Chinese guy I pulled off the street. Nah, I'm kidding. I think oh my god, Aori Kilang is gonna pull off a crafty victory from with this fight. I think Cody Gibson, he's man. Some of these just older American fighters really they just gotta lock in, and they just don't have the work ethic of these like Chinese kids that have been like slaves in a sweatshop ever since they're 5. They're just like, "Well, make my Nike, ha, ha, make my Nike." But you know, that's just Americans just don't have the work ethic that these foreigners do, and Cody Gibson doesn't have the game that Elric Klang does. Cody Gibson's a very simple fighter, and Keelang is a very pressure, push you up against the cage, and I'm gonna be honest, I think this shit's gonna be boring as fuck. Just like our next fight, which is Manafiart versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Now, there's not a whole lot of insight needed on this fight because you look at the two and you're like, well, Manon Furo, or Fiora, has man in her first name. That's one. She looks more like a man. That's 2. Then she's French, so you got to take off a point. That's just how it is. Then, she gains her point back because she just went 5 rounds with Valentina Shevchenko, and she survived. She survived a decision, and Jasmine Jasudavicius is known lately for her submission ability. Now, I don't think Jasudavicius is going to be even able to get the takedown to start to work on her submission game. I think the tables are going to turn, and either this is just going to be Fiora schooling Jasudavicius on the feet because she has no concept of striking, and I don't think she's ever hit pads in her goddamn life. Or Fiora's just going to hold her against the cage and maybe get an anticlimactic sub because, once again, it's a women's MMA fight, and that's just how it is. But the next fight is Cheeto Vera versus Amian Sahabi. Now, this I do not think will be a boring fight. I think this will be cinema, but not for the reasons you think. It's because I love Cheeto Vera, and I think he's gonna beat up this fucking Jew. Like, look at him. Look at him with this fat ass nose. You just know. No, I'm kidding. But Marlon Vera, the last time we saw him was a loss to Figueiredo, and before that was a loss to Sean O'Malley. Gotta admit, a 5-round schooling, but as you know, this man's got a fucking chin. Like, we've all seen the clip on Instagram of him getting kneed, and it just pop. Like you can hear it. We all heard it. We all saw it. And he didn't go down. He didn't flinch. And Chito Vera in general has been just kind of a terminator of a fighter. And I don't think Amian Zahabi just he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough to put down Chito Vera. Devison Figueiredo is a a very seasoned fighter, an ex-champion even in the flyweight division, moving up to bantamweight, and now having good success as well with his only loss coming to, or with his only recent loss coming to Corey Sandhagen. But he bounced back against Montel Jackson last week, so that loss is aging pretty well. And Sean O'Malley, well, he just ran into the greatest bantamweight of all time, and that's that's just how that happens sometimes. You just really can't do anything about it. But Chito Vera hasn't. We haven't seen Chito Vera in a year, and when I see that, and he's not coming off of anything too crazy. I think he's reinventing himself. And Amian Zahabi, we saw him not too long ago struggle with old Unk Jose Aldo. And old Unk Jose Aldo put his ass on skates. That's just how it is. And you can't be getting put on skates by Jose Aldo and trying to climb up to be a champion in the bantamweight division when Jose Aldo that was literally Jose Aldo's last fight. He just fucking retired last weekend. You can't be doing that, bro. And his last win before that was an old ass Pedro Munoz. Let me let me beat that into your head again. An old ass Pedro Munoz. Who the fuck is this? Go on. Go on, man. Go on to Canada and dig your fucking tunnels. Goddamn. Cheeto Vera by fucking taking him to school. Now Kevin Holland versus Mike Mallet. This is a good fight. I'm a Kevin Holland enjoyer. That's just how it is. And Mike Mallet is Canadian. That's just how it is. I don't like that. But another thing I don't like is that he took Trevin Giles to a decision where Trevin Giles is the guy where every competent contender finishes him, and there was some moments and some sequences where he started to have some trouble, and that's honestly I think that just paints the picture enough when you're facing a guy like Kevin Holland, who is the most inconsistent fighter of all time. Now, keeping that in mind, I think this is the 500 IQ play right here. He is the most inconsistent fighter of all time. He just had one of the most shit performances. Probably just one of the most shit performances I've ever fucking seen in my goddamn life against D-Rod. He had a war with Daniel fucking Rodriguez. What the fuck are you doing, man? Talking about some I could be a champion if I cared. Then what the fuck was that? You don't care about not bro. D-Rod made you look like shit, but I think that Kevin Holland realized that like holy shit, I just lost to this fucking can. I'm not finna be put on a staple on this Canadian card to let this Canadian get his win. You hurt? So, Kevin Holland, in my opinion, is gonna lock in and starch Mike Mallet. I think that's how it's gonna go. Mike Mallet's just too slow, and Kevin Holland's lanky enough to get around the guard, and we possibly might see another Luque situation of a drop and a sub. Not that quick, but I can see that same finishing situation happening. And speaking of finishing, whoa. If Rainer de Ritter, which I think is going to happen, Rainer de Ritter is going to starch this autistic bum. I may have just said artistic. I meant autistic. I'm autistic. We are autistic. Rainer de Ritter is going to starch us. No, I'm kidding. But I genuinely think RDR has every tool and fucking triple to defeat Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen is one of the most fight IQ deficient fighters in the UFC. And I don't think you could prove me wrong because this man started to do good against Anthony Hernandez in the striking and decided to start to fucking pull gillies. And that is a thing that just doesn't work in top level MMA, and that's just a red flag. Anytime you see someone pulling a gilly, you're just no, hold on, no, 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 no. That's a only Poirier can get away with that shit. Is just because we liked him so much. And then this guy having wrestling success against Nazardine Imavov decides to start to strike with him and lose his decision. And I mean, then we just had the two just fucking movable force versus fucking breakable object or whatever the fuck with him and Marvin Vettori, and he bummed out a decision there. Marvin Vettori has a 1-2, and that's about it. And Brendan Allen, he barely scraped by. And Rainer de Ritter has a lot more tools. He has great grappling. His accolades in grappling are great. One he was one champion over there. He's made his UFC debut, been incredibly active. I have myself have just been an avid glazer of RDR because of how goofy he looks with his debut against Gerald Meerschaert and pulling it off in the third round. Then making Bo Dickel look like a pile of shit. Then Kevin Holland, I don't remember which order it is, but he subbed Kevin Holland pretty easily. Then he just scraped out a war against Robert Whitaker. And I think Robert Whitaker would make Brendan Allen look like a fool and finish him in the first or second round. So, in all, I think RDR is going to make quick and easy work of Brendan Allen. Maybe we might see a TKO from RDR in the second or third round, starting to break him with his knees. And that's just how it's going to go. See you guys. See you later. Have a good one.